So if we could do that, then it's beyond the hospitals. It's within someone's home, like care homes, anything that anyone who has access to a mobile phone could use this.
That'd be amazing.
Right now, it's just a dream.
But everything starts from that. Everything does start
Yeah.
from, somebody has to have an idea about something, and it that then has to develop. It's having the staying power to see it through,
Yes.
and dealing with the setbacks. And I mean, I don't know what setbacks there would be, but it's how you manage anything in life, isn't it? To okay, well, this is what I'm trying to achieve. Because I remember a friend of mine, William. He was I can't remember. He wasn't doing his PhD when I first met him, but it was where he was going. Is what he was going on to do, and at the time he was doing geology, and he was saying that sometimes you can spend 3 years, 4 years doing a PhD just to come out at the end of it and say no, it wouldn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's definitely a reality. That's a possibility with this, for
because
sure.
that shocked me. He was just like, no. He said you can spend 3 or 4 years researching something to prove that something could happen, for your research to say no, it's not possible.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I had no idea that that's how PhDs can work.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like you do it in even my master's degree. The end of that, the little research that I did for that was didn't work. So that wasn't significant at all. With this, where it should work, the idea is quite solid behind it. Before I had this, the study that you participated in, that we did do a little pilot study, just looking at whether this new form of pupillometry that we're using is reproducible. And so far, it's looking, yeah, it is pretty reproducible, especially at longer durations of light exposure. So now we've got that in the bag saying, yeah, this looks fairly reproducible. If across different ages, across different people, we can see this seems to work quite consistently. And then now we're doing, obviously, with you, the one you did, can we optimize it, the stimuli that we're using? Can we use different colors, different durations in a different order and see which is the best we can use and take that forward?
So, in terms of the interest in sciences, when did that start for you?
Interest in science, it's always kind of been there. I don't really. There's no definitive point where I think, oh yeah,
So,
that's
this
definitely.
is a childhood thing.
Oh, absolutely. Like I think when I was in high school, I remember I wanted to be go to medical school, and then I kind of decided against that, thinking I don't really want to deal with patients.
Yeah,
I'll lose my patience.
yeah.
Uh, so I decided quite early on after that, just I think my A levels were tailored towards. I still had that interest in medical sciences, which is why I went on to do medical science as my bachelor's degree. So it was kind of that left a back door of possibility. I could go to medical school if I wanted to,
Yeah.
but then I ended that and I wasn't sure still. So kind of just ridden the wave, seen where I've ended up. I've ended up here on a PhD doing toxicology.
No, but it's so when like you were saying at high school you knew you wanted to kind of or thought you wanted to go to medical school. So were you saying like at the age of like 10, 11 years, 12 years old, you kind of already had an idea of what you were interested in?
Yeah, I'd say so. I've always kind of had an aptitude for the science subjects, really. So I there's no doubt that I wasn't ever really going to go down that route. I think like I'm not very artistic, not very creative. So it's always science and maths subjects always came very easy
Yeah.
to me growing up. So it just felt natural to go down that route because one thing that I always thought of growing up when I think of when you people are telling you what kind of job you want to get and everything like that. I don't want it. I never wanted to be ruled by money.
Yeah.
I always wanted to go into a job. I didn't care particularly how much I got paid, as long as at the end of the day I come home and I say I enjoyed that. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that day, and that's the route I've taken with what I wanted to do and the progress I've taken towards getting a career. I wanted to always come back and say, yeah, I've enjoyed that.
I think to be fair, for most people, that would be their ambition, is to, I would say a good 90% of people would love to be in a position where they go to work and say, yeah, I enjoyed that. But I think the difficult, and this is one of the things that fascinates me, which is one of the reasons I love doing podcasts, is because often, like if you're looking for consistencies, when I'm talking with people, you often find that you said something interesting, that you didn't really have any sort of aptitude towards like art or anything like that, but you found sciences and maths easy and interesting. So it sometimes it is, people aren't always drawn, or people have an ambition. I'd love to do this. I'd love to do that, but they just don't have a skill set that's required for it. Or if they go down that route, they're working twice as hard as somebody, say, like yourself.
Yeah.
So they end up just doing a job that they're just like, I just don't know what else to do, and I need to earn money, so I may as well make it about money, because they just never had a passion or something that they just, when they turn up and do it, it's just like, oh yeah, no, I love my job. And I find that so there's certain people that I come across on the podcast when I'm talking to people that, and it can be
one rabbit hole I never wanted to go down. Sure.
What's that? Working for money.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I was going to say, is I think it's when you have something that you're naturally interested in, and you just naturally seem to be drawn in that direction, there seems to come to be a satisfaction from that finance doesn't become part of it. It's just like, as long as I'm doing this, I'm always going to be okay. But when people don't have that, the financial structure becomes something they focus on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because right now, PhD students, you get tuppence, really. You get a stipend that comes out of the money that the sponsors are given for the uni, and it's very minimal. Just gets you through, really. And obviously, you get more as once you finish and everything like that. But yeah, you got to be interested in it if you want to do it. You can't do a PhD for the money.
No,
you got to get through it.
But it's like I said, that it's like I was talking to a lady, I think it was last week. Her name's Teresa Ivansick, and she's a professional bodybuilder. Now, she's been doing it for like 18 years, and she's at the top level. She's placed at Mr. Olympia and things like that. But when you listen to her and the journey and the financial rewards, just that are non-existent, although they're better now, were non-existent, and it's all financed, funded, and everything by herself. But you never actually once really hear her talk about that. You just hear her talk about her love of bodybuilding, and just how passionate she is about turning up every year to be, and put herself on the line. And I think it took her 10 years to get her pro card.
Yeah.
So she was literally financing herself for 10 years before she even got a pro card, and then still really had to keep financing herself. And like I said, it's fascinating to me in a sense, partly because I've never had anything that I'm naturally drawn to. So kind of financial reward has always been a big part of what I look for in a job. It's not like the biggest determiner of the job, but when there's nothing you're naturally interested in, you're just like, well, I better go and do it for the money then. And there is this, like I said, I'm being very clumsy because I'm trying to figure out how to articulate it, but it's just a pattern I notice in certain people that know from an early outset what they're interested in, not necessarily what they want to do for a job, but what they're interested in, and that interest takes them down a road, and money is irrelevant outside of what I need to survive on. And it's like you say, it's just the turning up, going there and doing the job, or the thing that I want to do every day, and being able to do that. Money is not even part of the equation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's with when you ask kids and stuff what they want to do when they grow up. I think it's a difficult question to ask them because they've got to know what they're interested in, and they've got to associate that with a job then. But then there's so many jobs that they don't know what's associated with that subject. So you got to kind of, I think you got to be careful with them and explore it differently. Because if you'd have asked me when I was in primary school, for say, do you want to be a toxicologist when you grow up? I wasn't going to say yes, would I? I would.
No, but you
know
probably
what
knew what one
was.
Yeah, I reckon you would have known.
Potentially, I could have worked out.
Yeah,
But but yeah, you don't know, do you? So yeah, it's difficult. You got to kind of tailor it when you're younger. You got to just really follow your interests subject wise. I think if you do that, it'll fall into place where you end up. Really, just take it as far as you can.
That's probably about the best career advice you could give anyone at school right now.
Yeah,
follow your interests, and it'll fall into place.
Yeah, you've got to, because you can't. I find it difficult. You can't be forced into a role that you don't want to go into, really, because that's just going to make your life so miserable. If you're just going down a route that's pre set out for you, you've got to find the subjects that you enjoy. It doesn't even have to be within school, particularly, because loads of people have extracurricular activities. They go to do different sports, martial arts, all that kind of thing, and that might be a route for them to take towards a career. It's just finding what you're interested in.